Can you just give us a little sense here with regards to what Sycamore is paying here, 500 plus million bucks roughly for this stock, for this company? Do you think that the enterprise value and just the general value that they could extract out of this is going to be worth it?
Yeah, so I would say, what they're paying is pretty much in line with what we had originally expected. A while back, we did some of the parts and came up with a $990 million equity value for L Brands. We did tack on some debt to that, but Sycamore is not taking any debt. So, it does seem like it's generally in line with what we were thinking. And then also, I think in terms of what the street was thinking, which I think it's to be determined if Sycamore can get a return out of that. But, we generally think that if you can turn VS around, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to be had there.
Jordyn, we know that the Victoria's Secret brand is just nothing like what it was. The brand cachet seems totally shot. Is there any brand value, or is there further vision that anyone has about how it could become a thing again?
Yeah, so I mean, they still have a huge part of the market share for the undergarment industry.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's completely dead, but what they do have to do is kind of evolve with the times, making sure that their messaging is right. So we got a little insight into how the company was thinking about it in September in terms of the like by her, for her, those things. So, I mean, if they do continue that, maybe we'll see a little bit more. But now that they're private, they don't have to tell us as much.
Right.
So now that they're private, Susan, obviously this gives them a little bit of cover to kind of execute without sort of the prying eyes of people like you and me. But at the same time, I mean, this is only 55% of the company. Should they have maybe made a little bit more of a cleaner split from L Brands and Les Wexner in some way?
Yeah, potentially. That would have been a bigger bet for Sycamore. And I think given the difficulties around adding leverage to retailers, these days, it maybe would not have made sense. But I do think investors probably would have liked a full split, which is why we saw the stock down when it first opened. But I think when, everyone dug under the covers at the numbers, we realized this was a pretty good deal for L Brands. So I think it's a good first start to see how things work out, and it really allows L Brands to de-risk themselves from VS.
And Jordyn, finally, what about L Brands, the rest of it? Bath & Body Works is going to be its own separate company. How are those operations?
So Bath & Body Works has been the bright spot of L Brands. And what's interesting is they don't really have a direct peer in terms of what they sell, because they have the candles and lotions and whatnot. So that's also kind of the question of how does it stand alone? What is its valuation? Because it's doing really well. It's in the mall. That doesn't necessarily make sense. So it will be interesting.
It's in malls and it's doing well?
Yes.
So it must be really
exactly.
good.
And they do great during the holiday. And so the company is reporting their fourth quarter earnings on Wednesday. So we'll get better insight into how well they're due, and then maybe that will give some insight into the future for them.